Hey UConn Nation, it's KK Arnold here. If you're looking for the latest UConn women's basketball content, go subscribe to Listen Up to Phil and Ryan. Go Huskies!
Phil and Rye on Listen Up. Rye, can you hear me?
I can hear you
We
loud and
thought we were
clear.
both muted, but no, we are here on this beautiful, beautiful Thursday morning, August the 1st. Again, we thank everyone for joining us on Listen Up. Ryan, South Carolina, some big news yesterday. And I told you, man, we have to have an early morning edition with coffee, donuts, the whole works, right? Because this is big. This is actually more than just a date. And Ryan's going to explain why in just a second. He breaks it all down for us on Listen Up. South Carolina women's basketball to host UConn, Ryan, on February the 16th. And according to ESPN, this will be figures to be one of the most highly anticipated matchups of the women's college basketball season. The defending national champion Gamecocks went 38-0, Ryan, if you remember last season, for their third national title in the past 7 NCAA tournaments. Yeah, that's right. So, Ryan, big game. I'm circling it on my calendar already. We're not even close to the beginning. Well, kind of close to the beginning of the regular season. But, hey, I'm already looking forward to February the 16th. I don't know about you, Ryan. Very quickly, though, I'll hand it over to you, so I will shut up and stop talking for a while. You have to tell them that we do, it's kind of different, right, than other podcasters, per se. We do work when we're not being seen necessarily. So we work on the videos and we try to send them off for editing. You have to tell them what we did, who we finally caught up with, not one, but two important people a couple days ago. I'll let you handle that. And I know that we can't wait. And I'm sure that they can't wait to see the great interviews that we had the honor of doing just a couple days ago.
Yeah, so on Tuesday, we finally got the interviews done that we've been talking about. Interviewed assistant coach Morgan Valley and KK Arnold, both in the same day. So that was a little nerve-wracking, but we got through it. I think both interviews went really well. Of course, we can't thank both of them enough for coming on and joining us for about 20 to 30 minutes.
Of
But
course,
like you
I did call Morgan Valley the head coach right in the beginning. So if she's watching this, I have to really sincerely apologize to her and Gino. Of course, Ryan, I don't think it's all too bad calling somebody a head coach, don't you think? So maybe I don't want to start any rumors, but maybe just think about it. Maybe one of these days, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, maybe future head coach. We're looking ahead to the future. But yeah,
Yeah.
hopefully we can get those videos edited a little bit. Hopefully have at least one of them out in about 2 weeks. But we'll have to see. Definitely get both of those out pretty soon here. But yeah, today's a big day. Got the news yesterday about the rematch versus South Carolina.
Mhm.
February 16th. Everybody circle it on your calendars. Possibly, like you said, the game of the year for women's college basketball.
Yeah.
Make up from the 2021 to 22 season. So, I think it's about time we get a win versus these Gamecocks. South Carolina's they've won the last 4 meetings versus UConn. UConn, of course, still leads the all-time matchups, but as of late, UConn has just been dominated, flat out dominated. And the scary thing is South Carolina is returning almost all their players from last season, including Tahina Pau, who is returning for her extra year of eligibility. So we all remember the game last year. Unfortunately, Pau tore us up a little bit last December in Columbia, but hopefully this time it'll be a little bit different. I am a little nervous about the game yet again being in Columbia, South Carolina. But like I said, hopefully a little bit different. Just hoping and praying that UConn is healthy for this game because I think it can be a totally different game from last year with KK and Ashland now having a little bit more experience. Hopefully we can have AZ and Aubrey on the court. And how nice it would be if Sarah Strong to show out against South Carolina, who she did consider committing to. A lot of people thought she would after that game that UConn lost to South Carolina, but she gets the chance to come to stores and now gets an opportunity to have a real impact in this game. But with this game being so late in the season, we should have a pretty good idea of where both of these teams are at. Now, you have to figure South Carolina will be 1 or 2 in the nation, but I also think UConn can be top 5, maybe top 3 as well. Maybe just a couple losses. And if South Carolina is undefeated, the Huskies, of course, would have the chance to hand them their first loss, which would be pretty nice. But I can't wait for this game. It's going to be fun. And I think it's going to be a lot closer than it was last year.
Yeah, we have to remember Camilla Cardozo, Ryan. She went number 3 overall in the 2024 WNBA draft. So they're going to be without Cardozo in this highly anticipated matchup, right? She went to the Chicago Sky in this past WNBA draft. One of the most, in my opinion, one of the best draft classes that we'll ever see in WNBA history, led by Caitlin Clark at number 1. But anyhow, you have to remember, Ryan, that, of course, I don't know what you think. I think that it's not going to really. Now, Camilla is a great player. She did a lot for South Carolina. I don't think, to be honest with you, when you factor in what Dawn Staley has done, turned this rival around, right? It was UConn owning the rival for a while, and then Dawn Staley turned it around on us. I really think that minus Cardozo, when you go into February, I don't think that it's going to factor that much. I was going to ask you about it when it comes down to UConn having their hands full. Again, I'm actually kind of glad that Cardozo, bye-bye, in the WNBA now. But again, I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, man, Ryan, it's still what this team has done. Tip your hat off to Dawn Staley over and over. You can't underestimate them at all. And I think really with Camilla gone, I don't really think it adds up to much, to be honest with you. UConn has, especially on the road again, they have their hands full. And how about this? I know we did a live, what is it called? Broadcast
Live stream.
live stream for the South Carolina and UConn game last year. I talked to you about it, and we might as well just, not that anyone cares, but Ryan, getting in the car and driving down south in February seems like a lot better decision than driving up snowy north, possibly snowy north around that time. So I'm kind of glad it is in South Carolina. And I'm telling you, Ryan and I, if anyone cares, Ryan and I might just be down there supporting these UConn ladies in February.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we love UConn, beautiful area up there. Definitely will be returning sometime up there, but I think being in Columbia, it's definitely gonna be a pretty rough environment, reckless environment up there. I remember when we were live streaming that game, watching it, we could just hear how loud it was, those fans going crazy. So yeah, it would be a pretty awesome game to go to. And of course, talking about Cardoso, she is gone, but she was actually injured in that game that last year that
That's
South
right.
Carolina won. So it was actually Chloe Kitts that started. And unfortunately, it didn't matter. So yeah, like you said, unfortunately, I don't think really losing Cardoso is going to hurt South Carolina too much. They have a new freshman coming in, Adele Tack, I believe is what her name is, 6'5" center. So a pretty good replacement for the pretty tall Cardoso. Also Sakima Walker, and of course Chloe Kitts returning too. So definitely not a lot lost there down low for South Carolina. And I think a lot of this game is going to come down to the inside scoring. I think both of these teams have a lot of talented guards, but inside UConn, there's a couple question marks, I think, on this roster in terms of the forwards, a couple injuries last year. So, like I said, Sarah Straw, maybe it's her chance to really have a breakout game. Of course, it will be pretty late in the season, but hopefully she can have a pretty good game. Ice Brady, maybe possibly as well. But I think that the matchup to watch in this game might come down to inside the post.
All right, here we go. This is amazing. These are comments from the last video, and it's great to be back in Maryland. Obviously, Ryan, the last video. I was down in Miami, so safe travels back home. Great to be back alongside with you, just 30 minutes away from me rather than hours. The countdown begins. Listen to this. This is amazing, man. And I can't thank them enough, everybody. Arthur said, a big thank you to Rye and Phil. I found a suspicious looking package in my mailbox Saturday. It wasn't from Mike Lindell, the pillow guy. It was from Rye and Phil, the listen up guys. Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm glad we finally could mail that off. It took a little while. We had to get the right size. It took a little while to get those shirts mailed to us, and then of course got our logo on there. But yeah, I'm glad we were able to get those shirts out. Maybe a couple more giveaways possibly coming up. I know we talked about possibly opening a store online, so a couple things maybe in the works, but. Yeah, definitely more shirts to come.
You know who I think deserves a free T-shirt is Jason D'Amico, if he would gladly take one. Ryan, he is a regular on this podcast. We can't appreciate him enough. Pretty much, he's almost like you almost want to call him up and just ask him, "Hey, can you be the third person now from now on, or listen up?" He said, "I watched the Dayton game from last night. My heart sank when I saw all the talent UConn had that wound up injured and out for the season. I really hope this year is an injury-free year. Just once, I would like to see Paige and AZ play together at full strength. Peace, fellas." Yeah. Jason, send us, we appreciate you hitting up our mailbag for the interviews. We did not miss that. Also, send us your size and, of course, a good mailing address. And Ryan, I think he very well deserves a T-shirt.
Yeah, for sure. And that's a pretty good point. I don't think we've really talked about that a lot on here in terms of Paige and AZ playing together. And I think when Caroline had her breakout season as a freshman, I talked about a lot seeing the big three now between Paige, AZ, and Caroline. And unfortunately, all three of them started to suffer some injuries. And, it kind of is hard to believe that Paige and AZ really haven't played that many games together, even though they've been on this team now together for 3 years. So it's really unfortunate, but like we keep saying, hopefully this year is finally the year it can all come together and be put into place.
Arthur also commented later on. He said, "Phil, are you giving KK her NIL payments? After all, you're using her for your intros." Let me tell you something, man. I know people, hopefully they don't get tired of me saying this, and you. KK's mom, KK's dad, KK Arnold herself. I feel like that, you and I and KK, all three of us, Ryan, and of course the whole UConn family, shares a special bond with KK Arnold. And I mean, I don't know how to put this, Ryan, but it's even if she would not, thank you again, KK, for the intro on this video. But even if she would not, Ryan, be on our intros, something about KK Arnold, man, that it's just, you almost you don't even have to personally know her to be able to love this athlete that's on the court and the athlete that's off the court. She is, man, I mean, there's no words. I mean, what a special player. Gino, the whole coaching staff, man, they hit the mark when they brought her in.
Yeah, her energy is just infectious, and she's called the Energizer Bunny for a reason. I just think it's pretty obvious, even when she's not on the court playing. She's always bringing the energy and making sure the spirits are always up in between the team and talking to her and reading the articles. She definitely wants to become more of a leader, so definitely expecting big things out of KK for this season, and I think she's in a pretty good place to make a lot of good things happen for UConn.
All right, no predictions. We will save that for in February on the last check-in. Like always, Ryan, we're getting closer and closer to the season. That means real game previews, real game recaps. I can't wait. We all know that you can't wait. But Ryan, I have to ask you this before I leave you today on this August the 1st. I'm thinking if we have it in that quote unquote perfect world, UConn #1, South Carolina #2 when it comes to February the 16th? Or am I all just totally thrown off? Of course, we don't want to say too much because then some stuff might happen that's unexpected.
Yeah, and possibly, I might even like the storyline a little bit more of South Carolina's undefeated #1, possibly having UConn at #2, or at least in the top five. Maybe
Yeah.
UConn coming in as a little bit of an underdog, coming into Columbia and getting a statement win. I think that would be just as nice as well.
Sure thing. Phil and Rye on Listen Up. Ryan, I think you're right. Well, now that we have led by fifth-year star Paige Beckers, 5 years already. Can you believe it? I can't believe it. And then, of course, you have Sarah Strong, KK Arnold. The list goes on and on and on. Ryan, will it be a different outcome? I think it will be. Phil and Rye on Listen Up.